Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we have entered day 81 of the ongoing war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. And obviously, I have presented a new map today. Obviously, this gives you the ability to see Ukrainian units. This is relatively correct, while not being obviously completely 100% accurate. It does give you a fairly good idea of Ukrainian force deployments. Now, in terms of Russian force deployments, it gives you a much less, better idea in terms of what is happening on the ground in terms of Russian deployments, as it is more difficult to ascertain Russian deployments as opposed to Ukrainian deployments. So the Ukrainians continue offensive operations near Kharkov. The map will again give you a better idea in terms of the amount of forces the Ukrainians are utilizing for this ongoing operation. And clearly, you can see right now the Ukrainians have reinforced 4+ brigades for this operation. If we start to the northwest of Kharkov, participating in this operation, you have the 72nd Mechanized Brigade, the 113th Territorial Defense Brigade, the Kraken Special Operations Regiment, the 127th Territorial Defense Brigade, and the 92nd Mechanized Brigade. Now, obviously, within the context of the offensive, the better Ukrainian units deployed in this operation are the two active duty mechanized brigades that are being used. The Russians continue to conduct both tactical withdrawals and at the same time are suffering battlefield losses and setbacks in the ensuing and continued Ukrainian operation that continues to push Russian forces back towards the shared border with Ukraine and the Russian Federation. I believe at some point, if the Ukrainians are able to, in fact, push the Russians further, you could see that eventually the territorial brigades will quite possibly start manning the holding forces, and you could start to see Ukrainian forces starting to turn more towards the east, southeast in a direction to conduct supporting operations towards Izum in this area. And we know right now the main Russian effort is this pincer movement located near Izum and Popasnaya in this area. And it appears right now they're looking for the smallest of the two encirclements. There's two operational plans. One is to encircle and cut off the Ukrainian forces that are operating near Severodonetsk, and then also the possibility of the outer layer of entrapment for Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. And you can clearly see why this is important for Russian forces to cut these forces off. There is significant combat power that would be created in this pocket that could be cut off by Russian forces. And if you look here, obviously closer at the main Sloviansk, Kramatorsk defensive line. If we start to the north, you have, and this is one of the units that probably would not be cut off, but is acting more both as a offensive and reserve operational force for Ukrainian forces, and that's the 3rd Tank Brigade. But the forces that could end up being cut off are a number of brigades. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Ukrainian brigades that could be at some point isolated in this pocket and enveloped by Russian forces. So again, a very significant combat power consisting of the 81st Air Mobile Brigade, the 57th Motorized Rifle Brigade, 95th Air Assault Brigade, 4th Tank Brigade, 79th Air Assault Brigade, 128th Mountain Brigade, 58th Motorized Brigade, and a host of the 4th Rapid Response Brigade of the National Guard. This is the Ukrainian National Guard is not like what you would envision of a United States type of National Guard force. These are full-time forces that are more paramilitary in design, but also have accompanying tank and mechanized infantry formations attached to those forces as well. You also have the 111th Territorial Defense Brigade, the 17th Tank Brigade, the 27th Separate Brigade of the National Guard. Further down south, the 24th Mechanized Brigade, Donbass Battalion, and finally, last but not least, the 30th Mechanized Brigade. So quite a bit of active duty, non-territorial defense Ukrainian forces in this area. Clearly also contributing to the Ukrainian force construct is 3 tank brigades that the Ukrainians have deployed into this fight, and you can see just how important it is for obviously both the Ukrainians and the Russians. And you can also see why it's very slow going for the Russians too, as the Ukrainians, one, have quite a bit of firepower and forces allocated to the defense of both Severodonetsk, Sloviansk, and Kramatorsk, but have multiple layers of defensive lines instituted in this ongoing fight. We do know that the pressure right now for Ukrainian forces continues to be along the Severodonetsk front, and then of course near Popasnaya. Recently, we observed that the Russians had attempted to launch a operation, a bridgehead over the Donetsk River, and looking to then move and cut off Severodonetsk from the rear in this area. And this has been the benefit that the Ukrainians have been receiving from active and ongoing U.S. intelligence on the movement of Russian forces. So this was a fairly large Russian operation in which they were laying multiple pontoon bridge access points, crossing points, and those forces were being actively observed by U.S. intelligence assets. And that information was being readily transmitted to Ukrainian forces. And as the Russians continued to prepare and prep for this major river crossing operation that we observed taking place, the Ukrainians were able to bring to bear large amounts of heavy artillery, including 155, 152, 122 millimeter, and obviously multiple launch rocket systems and drones on these Russian forces that attempted to cross and cut off Ukrainian forces from the rear. Now, our understanding is this Russian operation continues. It did suffer some setbacks, and I would say at this point some rather significant setbacks based on some of the video intelligence that have been provided by obviously the Ukrainian armed forces. But that operation continues in this area right now. It would seem that the Ukrainians do have stabilized things, at least on the northern sector of this area of operations, this new operation by the Russian forces. But at the same time, the Russians continue to pressure near Popasnaya, located in this area. Facing off against those Russian forces are, again, the 24th Mechanized Brigade and supporting elements of the 17th Tank Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. But right now, we anticipate that the Russians could make an effort to storm Severodonetsk. We do know over the course of the last several weeks, it has been hit with a lot of artillery. And these units, these Ukrainian units that are based in this area defending Severodonetsk, have taken quite a few casualties and continue to be pressured by Russian forces. In this area defending Severodonetsk is the 27th Separate Brigade of the National Guard, the 111th Territorial Defense Brigade, the 15th Slavic Regiment of the Ukrainian National Guard, and the 4th Rapid Response Brigade. And there's probably other units, obviously, also involved in this operation in terms of defensive operations by Ukrainian forces. I also wanted to head down to the south and give you an idea of what things look like in Mariupol in terms of Ukrainian force disposition and what has been isolated within the metallurgical plant. So first, we've all know that, and there's been much talk about the Azov Regiment, 1st Battalion Azov Regiment that was deployed, and supporting the Azov Regiment. Well, I want to say supporting the Azov Regiments, but also included in the forces that continue to defend this large and sprawling facility with large underground bunker complexes is the Cord Company Special Police Force, the 36th Marine Corps Brigade, 12th Operational Brigade of the National Guard, and the 109th Territorial Defense Brigade. Now, please note that these were the forces that were originally defending all of Mariupol. To say that all these units are now isolated within the metallurgical plant, I would dare say unlikely. A lot of these units are far under strength. Obviously, there is no longer elements of 3 brigades or 3 full-strength brigades operating in the metallurgical plant defending that area. They're probably down to several hundred, maybe 1,000 personnel that continue to defend this facility from the ongoing Russian onslaught. And that's pretty much it for today in terms of what's happening on the ground. We will use this map going forward. Obviously, it gives you, the viewer, a better idea, especially in terms of Ukrainian force dispositions. Obviously, it's not completely correct, and there are definitely things that are missing, but it just gives you a better idea of what is being used in the conflict in terms of especially Ukrainian forces. You can see some Russian forces. Obviously, we know that, for instance, the 1st Guards Tank Army is operating near Izum. We have the 90th Tank Division also deployed. How much of that division is being deployed right now, difficult to say. But again, in terms of Russian deployments, this map is not going to give you the best idea of actual Russian force deployments as opposed to kind of what you get from Ukrainian force deployments as well. And all this is open source as announced by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. So again, some of which we're seeing here may not be completely accurate, and again, some things missing as well. So we continue to watch operations in the Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, Severodonetsk pocket, and this is pretty much do or die for the Russians at this point. If the Russians are not successful and they don't have the ability to reduce and destroy major elements of these 12 Ukrainian brigades that continue to provide tenacious resistance against the Russian military, then the idea that this conflict could come to a full-on stalemate or rapidly at some point maybe even de-escalate could occur. Now, obviously, we don't anticipate that it is going to happen. The Russians continue to provide and continue to attack relentlessly, especially with heavy artillery and tactical aircraft, and continue to also mount limited and sometimes unsuccessful maneuver operations in the area concerned. But we will continue to provide information and report. Thanks for joining us today. Have a good day.